Hello everyone, this is Peacecraft with another edition of the Brawl Beatdown, and today we're going to be covering the Mono Blue Commander meta list, or my interpretation of it. Remember though, this is simply my opinion, and while I will make arguments and while I will provide critique, your Brawl deck is your Brawl deck. You are encouraged and welcome to use any commander for any reason whatsoever. But I believe this list will give you some reasons why, at least the ones from the, top 5 and up should be the ones that you want to focus on. Now let's get into our criteria. This following list is for those Spellslingers and Planeswalkers who want to play the best or the worst color, depending on who you ask, in Magic. In descending order, we will compare, talk about, and approve or eliminate those commanders who individuals might be interested in as it pertains to a mono blue brawl deck, which, as we compare the currently available card pool, is really quite viable. And without much more explanation, let's get into it. First up, let's talk about Sir Eleonora the Discerning. For 3 blue and a blue, Sir Eleonora the Discerning's power is equal to the number of cards in your hand, and when Sir Eleonora enters the battlefield, draw a card. Spells your opponent's cast that target Sir Eleonora cost 2 more to cast. Now, I cannot be that pro on this card. As far as looking through the card pool, there's maybe only 1 to 2 blue enchantments that would really give this commander the protection that it needs. It costs 5. It doesn't particularly have many of blue's synergies in these sets, other than your hand size, which could work excessively well with Folio of Fancies, but you don't really have that much protection for it. 4 is in the middle zone of removal. The 2 mana cost tax is helpful, but and it does cantrip when it enters the battlefield, but I just can't be that pro on this commander as it relates to better ones in this deck. Next up on our list is Fibblethip the Lost. When he enters the battlefield, he cantrips. When he becomes the target of a spell or ability, you can shuffle it into your library, and therefore you'd avoid commander tax, and it is a cantrip. But paying 1 more for a strictly worse opt doesn't, again, do much for us. This isn't really the type of impactful commander that you're going to want in your deck. Again, I am a noob. I'm sure there are plenty of players out there going, but if you get this 5-card engine available, Fibblethip wins you a game. That's very possible, but I cannot be that pro on this commander, and let's cover some better ones. Next up is Jace Arcane Strategist, a 6-cost planeswalker with the static ability of whenever you draw your 2nd card each turn, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. His +1 ability is to draw that card, and his -7 ability is creatures that you control can't be blocked this turn. He's got some things negative against him. First of all, his casting cost is relatively high. His static ability is good, and that phrase is something we've seen on a number of creatures in the standard to come out with the latest set, but I don't think enough is there for that type of synergy. His +1 is draw a card, good, and his -7 isn't on blue's flavor or theme much at all. I mean, if you wanted to include him in your 59, you could, but I'm not up on this card whatsoever. But we're getting better, boys. We're getting into the meat of what we're after. Coming up next is Mu Yanling, Celestial Wind. Again, the 6-cost planeswalker not doing us any favors, but her +1 ability at least gives her some level of protection. She goes up to 6 loyalty. You can essentially blank out a creature that might do her damage. Good. Her -3 ability to bounce 2 creatures back to their owner's hands. Again, pretty good. At worst, this is a 6-cost double boomerang, which is still a terrible rate, but she's got more going for her than Jace does. Her -7 creatures with flying get +5/+5 until end of turn. There's a blue-white flyers list that's possible, but she can't be your commander for it, and I'm not sure you'd want her in the 99 of that list. So, again, this is another card that should not be your commander. Next up is Kasmina, Enigmatic Mentor. She's a 4-cost planeswalker with the ability text of spells your opponent's cast that target a creature or planeswalker you control cost 2 more to cast. Her -2 ability is to create a 2/2 bird wizard creature token, draw a card, and then discard a card. Now with number 8 and number 7, we're getting into the slight realm of playability as a commander. 4 cost to create a body and draw a card. A 2/2 for 2 and a card for 2 is correct on rate. You can only do this twice before she has to go to the command zone, and then you'd have to pay 6 for her again. But if you wanted to, you could with a mild tax effect if you're playing more of a mid-range blue deck, which I don't know why you would, and we're concerned about spot removal. Not the worst on our list with some that we've covered, but probably you're going to want to get a little bit deeper before you go. Narset's a really odd inclusion onto this list. 3 cost, 5 loyalty, your opponent can't draw more than 1 card a turn, with a -2 ability that is Search for Azcanta. You know what the ability does. 3 mana for 2 Search for Azcanta activations is not bad. In fact, compared to Search for Azcanta, it's 200% more efficient. Whether you'd want Narset to be your commander though, I don't know. This might have to be a specific meta call in paper if you're going up against people who play very cantrippy decks. And if that's the case, you might want Narset as just your throwdown commander to stop their card drawing shenanigans, but I don't think it's going to be the way that you want to go. Coming in at number 6 is Emry, Lurker of the Loch. For 3 cost, you get a legendary creature Merfolk Wizard 1/2 with the ability text of the spell costs 1 less to cast for each artifact you control. When it enters the battlefield, put the top 4 cards of your library into your graveyard. You may tap her to choose target artifact card in your graveyard and cast that card this turn. Emry is bonkers in Modern. Emry is probably going to be bonkers in Legacy. She'll probably be bonkers in Commander itself, and Historic as well. Do I think that the artifact pool is enough to bust her in Brawl? No, I don't. Are there much better deck builders than me that might find that chain that you need to let her go off and do some crazy stuff? Possibly. I mean, you could recur Wishing Wells, you could recur Magic Mirrors, you could do a couple things with her, but I don't think that those payoffs are going to lead to a successful winning board state in Brawl. And with that, let's go to number 5. Number 5 is Mu Yanling Sky Dancer, who is that Planeswalker that you would want if you're aiming for a more mid-range mono blue tempo perhaps, or a little more cluttered board state blue commander. She can come down, give herself protection. She can -3 to create a blue 4/4 with flying. Good. But her ultimate, if you risk it and you get that ultimate off, you gain permanent card advantage throughout the game. You're going to smother your opponent. There's not going to be anything that they can do about it. She's 5 on our list because our next 4 are clearly better and probably where you want to be, but she's just on the edge of viability for a commander. Number 4 on our list is Atempsis, All-Seeing. For a 6 cost, you get a legendary creature Sphinx with the ability text of Flying. For 3 and to tap it, you can draw 2 cards and discard a card. And whenever Atempsis the All-Seeing deals damage to your opponent, you can reveal your hand. And if you have 6 different cards with converted mana costs, that player loses. Alright, now we're getting into the better realms of commanders. Atempsis is expensive, but she's a 4/5 flyer, good, that can win you the game. For 3, she can draw you 2, but discarding 1, gaining you net 1 card advantage, good. And if you construct your deck the right way with a little bit of Christmas land, you can win the game on the spot. You should have enough filtering and draw to at least turn that ability on at some point throughout the game. If this commander dies 1 or 2 times, she's pretty much locked out of viability for the rest of the game, but at least she's starting to present the things that you want your commander to have, which is a way to win the game and abilities that grant you raw juice. Heading into number 3, top 3 spot, we got Jace, Wielder of Mysteries. For a 4 cost, you get a legendary Planeswalker Jace with the ability text of, if you would draw a card while your library has no cards in it, you win the game instead. +1, target player puts the top 2 cards of their library into the graveyard, draw a card. -8 is draw 7 cards. And if your library has no cards in it, you win the game. Lab Man Jace. People are either really hot on this card or really cold on this card. I personally love it. This card, along with Folio of Fancies and Magic Mirror, and some of the other cards that we have in current standard, a self-mill or mill your opponent out strategy is more than viable. You'd probably be better off doing that strategy with blue-black Ashiok, to be honest, and Jace should be in the 59 of that deck. But blue's got enough cards that you could pull it off with a couple more bonuses that blue-black itself doesn't quite get or can't focus on quite as hard. Picking Jace as your commander is totally fine. You've just got to be in on the mill strategy or the self-mill strategy in order to pull it off. For our number 2 slot, and this was a tough one. 2 and 1 were tough. We've got Gadwick the Wizened. For X and triple blue, you get a human wizard 3/3 with the ability to text stuff. When Gadwick the Wizened entered the battlefield, draw X cards. Whenever you cast a blue spell, tap target non-land permanent opponent controls. Yeah, like I said, this was a tough one to slot in at number 2, but when I get to number 1, I'll make some stronger arguments for it. He's essentially pull from tomorrow on a stick. Any blue cantrip, any blue card draw, any blue creature you play, you're going to allow him to pretty much ice over a creature. Insanely strong. If he was a 3/5, he'd be perfect. If he was a 3/5, he would be perfect. But that 3 life total for a butt totally allows a lot more spot removal to hit him. You're going to have counters in your deck, but it just doesn't give him that resiliency that you're going to want in a commander. Plus, while his X casting cost to draw you card is going to be awesome the first time, and it might be awesome the second time, it's going to get progressively less awesome the more his commander tax kicks in to reduce the amount of cards that you're drawing. You can absolutely run him as a commander. Absolutely. The top 3 you're absolutely safe to do. But if you had the choice, number 1 will probably be better, but Gadwick should be an immediate slot into your 59. And for our number 1 winner, God Eternal Kefnet. And it's close with Gadwick, but it's not particularly close with anyone else. God Eternal Kefnet is 4 cost, 4/5, and he gives even something probably better than just raw card advantage, and that is you get free copies of those cards. So every opt you can double up for 1, and enter the story to draw you 4 cards costs 3. A Chemister's Insight costs 2. God Eternal Kefnet makes the raw efficiency of your deck, again, go to 200%. As far as his survivability, you can avoid commander tax with this commander if you so choose. You just have to make that choice to be like, oh yeah, he can go away for 3 turns. I don't care. He's going to come back. And you can avoid commander tax entirely that way. He's a 4/5 flyer, which wins the game in 5 swings on its own. God Eternal Kefnet is currently the best mono blue commander for Brawl, and I don't think it's close. Yet again, more than happy to be wrong. You're more than welcome to try any of the commanders on this list. I would hope you don't go much deeper than number 5 on the list, but hey, it's you. But for my money, God Eternal Kefnet is where you want to be. And you're going to want Kazmina in the 59. You're going to want Gadwick in the 59. You're going to want Narset in the 59. You're going to want those cards there. But your commander needs to be the bird. And that, ladies and gentlemen, wraps up our mono blue commander tier list for today. Thank you for sticking with me. Thank you for showing so much love to my videos as they've come out. Even having 20 subscribers so far is ridiculous. I didn't even think I'd get that in a month, let alone the first 2 days. But this has been Peacecraft, and this has been the Brawl Beatdown. And some next videos on my channel coming up, it'll probably be a mono green commander tier list or a mono black commander tier list. If you guys like brawling on a budget, tell me and we'll do another one with another commander. Or I can do a deck tech. I want your input to tell me the type of content that you want regarding this format, and I'll make it. But hey guys, this has been Peacecraft, this has been the Brawl Beatdown. If you thought that this content was good, if you thought it brought you value, go ahead, maybe like, maybe subscribe, maybe give it a share, and I'm more than thankful for anything you do. And if you think my list was totally wrong, drop me a comment down below. But anyway guys, thank you, and I'll see you next video.